Hard to believe, but this little egg becomes an animal heavier than 4 elephants. Watch it grow. The hatchling weighs about 3 kilograms, roughly a newborn human baby, and it comes out of a buried egg, no bigger than a grapefruit, in a nest its mother scraped into warm mud with her feet, and then walked away from forever. There is no parent watching. There is no lesson. From the second it digs its way to the surface, this thing is on its own, in a forest full of animals that would happily eat something the size of a chicken. And that is exactly what it looks like right now. A chicken with a long neck and a whip for a tail. But hidden inside that tiny body is one of the most extreme growth programs nature has ever run, because this baby is a Titanosaur, and its species, Nagatitan, will end up around 27 meters long as a blue whale, and weighing somewhere between 25 and 28 tons. From 3 kilograms to 28,000. That is the journey. If it can survive long enough to make it. Most of them do not. For the first weeks of its life, being small and being alive are the same problem. It has to eat almost constantly, stripping low ferns and soft plants, because the only way out of the danger it is in is to get big, fast, and it grows at a rate that has nothing to do with a normal reptile. Its bones are packed with the kind of fast, richly blooded tissue you see in mammals, not lizards, and in the first stretch of life a Titanosaur baby can put on more than 10 times its hatching weight in a matter of weeks. It is not really a childhood. It is a sprint away from being bite-sized. And here is what it is sprinting from. In this forest, in what is now Thailand, roughly 113 million years ago, the predators do not need to be big to end a hatchling. A mid-sized meat-eater, a large lizard, even certain birds, any of them, can take a 3-kilo sauropod without a fight. So the baby lives at the bottom of the food chain, in the underbrush, moving in the open as little as it can. And the plain fact is that most of its brothers and sisters, out of a nest of 30 or 40 eggs, are already gone. But not this one. Watch what a few years of that desperate eating actually does. By the time it is a juvenile, it has crossed the first threshold, the one where it stops fitting in a predator's mouth. And it keeps climbing, and somewhere in its second decade of life, it crosses a far stranger one. It gets so large that hunting it stops being worth the risk. A predator that attacks a 40-ton adult is gambling its own life against a leg that can crush it and a tail. It can swing like a wrecking bar, and that is the deep trick of the Titanosaur body. It did not survive by fighting, or hiding, or being fast. It survived by becoming a landscape. By the end, the safest place in this entire world to stand is directly underneath itself. Now look at the finished animal. 27 meters from nose to tail tip. A single upper arm bone, just the upper arm. 1.78 meters long, taller than most people. A neck built to sweep a huge arc of forest without the animal taking a step, feeding a body that needs to move tons of plant matter through it every day. It is not fast. It is not clever. It does not need to be. It is the largest creature this whole corner of the ancient world has ever produced, and almost nothing alive can do a thing about it. And this is the animal that, until very recently, we did not know had ever existed here at all. Here is the part I love, because it did not come out of some grand expedition. In 2016, a man named Thanum Luangnan was on the bank of a pond in Chaiyaphum province in Thailand when he found bones weathering out of the rock. For years they sat as a promising, but unnamed find. Then, in 2026, a team studying the material realized what they had. Not a scrap of a dinosaur already known. A brand new species, and the largest dinosaur ever found in all of Southeast Asia. They named it Nagatitan, after the Naga, the giant serpent of local myth, a fitting name for a long-necked giant pulled out of a riverbank. Its whole existence in this region was a blank on the map until somebody looked closely at the bones on the edge of a pond. That is the thing about these animals. The biggest land creatures a place ever grew can vanish so completely that 80 million years later, finding them is an accident. But go back to our Titanosaur, because its story does not get a gentle ending. And I am not going to pretend it does. It is living near the end of the reign of the giants. In its world, the enormous sauropods are already past their peak in many places, and the clock on the whole age of dinosaurs is running down toward an asteroid it will never see. Our animal will live its slow, enormous life, strip its forests, maybe nest, and lay its own clutch of grapefruit-sized eggs, most of which will end exactly the way its own siblings did. And then it will die, and its bones will settle into the mud of a river that will one day be a pond where a man goes walking. And that is the strange gift it leaves. Because that mud, and that death, and 113 million years of pressure are the only reason we can stand here and describe a giant that has been gone since long before. They were people to be frightened of it. Every giant we cover here eventually lost. The titans shrank, the lineages ended, and the forests they flattened were handed down to animals that will never need to become a landscape to stay alive. Nagatitan is no different. But it got a small, strange second life that most of them never get, because a man stopped at the edge of a pond, looked twice at the rock, and pulled a serpent out of the ground 80 million years too late. Until next time, on Ashborne Ancestors.